week is the first week we've had a lot of people out. Howard's been out before, but I knew about that ahead of time. And actually these other conflicts, I've known about as well. Everyone's been really good about telling me ahead of time that there were going to be days that they were going to have to miss. And so when I first sat down and scheduled the rehearsal, I took that into consideration as I was scheduling the scenes that we were going to work, and really tried to minimize scenes on days when I knew certain people weren't going to be there if they were heavy in those scenes, and then pick back up on those scenes when I knew they were going to be there. Unfortunately, in a cast this small, when you have more than one person out, you can't skip all the scenes that they're in. And so what we do is we just have someone else read their lines, preferably stand on stage while they're reading them, just so that the actors that are acting with them kind of get a placement for that person. And it's still difficult though, because it's not the same thing as having the person that you're going to act with in the scene. However, I'm not too terribly worried about it because I trust the people that we've cast. I think they're all professionals. They've all done shows before, so they're able to adapt if someone's missing. And if they're missing themselves, they're able to pick back up on what they missed quickly and get back into the scenes that they missed. So I think, it's not a huge worry at this point. My main concern would be later on when we get close to tech week and dress rehearsals. It's just sort of an unwritten rule in theater that you don't miss them. You just don't. Working with students, that's always been kind of difficult because sometimes they don't understand that. Then you have to let them know that you cannot miss that week. But I will work, again, we're working with adults and people that have done this before, and I think that that's not going to be an issue. So I'm not too concerned at this point. I think everything's going to be great.
For conflicts, for me, it's actually doing two shows because as of for the recording of this, I'm in the last stages of my first show at the other community theater, in which it's kind of hard just because you have to do one show with one rehearsal on one day, you have to do another rehearsal at another company the next day, you also have to do work, and you just have to try and get enough time for sleep, enough time to just do certain things just to get yourself prepared for activities that you need to do for that show for that night or all that stuff. So it's kind of stressful, but I'm always up for a new challenge.
I know a lot of people who do a lot of theater. I try to do one show a year, at least one full show. I keep an eye out for that show about a year in advance. And I don't audition for a show if I have a conflict. And in 35 years of doing community theater, I had a couple of conflicts when I was in the Navy Reserve back in the 80s. And then a couple of years ago, I already had a vacation scheduled when I auditioned for a chorus role and got the lead. And I would not have even auditioned had I known that I wasn't just going to be in the chorus. So I don't audition if I'm going to have a conflict. It's just one of the things that I do. When a chorus member's gone in a musical, well, you can still run the show. This is actually one of a handful of non-musical plays I've ever done in 35 years, so it's a little bit different.
It affects me in a lot of different ways. Just one, because a lot of my energy is based off a lot of other people's energy, so if I'm not getting a lot of energy from the person that I'm working with, it's hard for me to try to make up for that. But you are in rehearsal and there are other people depending on you, so you do have to still deliver even though another cast member isn't there to help you out. I have had to miss a couple of rehearsals already. It really sucks, but I have to take responsibility for it and make sure that I'm still working hard to memorize my lines and my blocking and everything else, so the show continues to run smoothly.
Conflict. Well, in community theater, there's going to be conflict. You can't really demand and yell and scream and try to get people to be there. If people aren't there and you're on stage, you got to rehearse. I rehearse at 100%. Every time I come in, I get on stage, I do the part, whether anybody's there or not. Sometimes it gets in the way when people aren't there. I was in a musical one time that I had to fall back at the end of this number, and a fella wasn't at rehearsal, and nobody told me, so I fell back and broke 3 ribs off a chair. But other than stuff like that, you just got to deal with it. You just got to deal with it. try not to have conflict, but I do sometimes. So you just rehearse, do your show.